The designations of the pyramids correspond to the kings for whom they were built. The northernmost and oldest pyramid of the group was built for Khufu, the second king of the fourth dynasty, and is also called the Great Pyramid. The middle pyramid was built for Khafre, the fourth of the eight kings of the fourth dynasty. The southernmost and last pyramid to be built was that of Menkaure, the fifth king of the fourth dynasty. All three pyramids were plundered, both internally and externally, in ancient and medieval times. Thus, the grave goods originally deposited in the burial chambers are missing, and the outer casings of smooth white limestone have been almost entirely stripped, except the topmost portion of the Pyramid of Khafre. The Sphinx is a limestone statue of a reclining sphinx, a mythical creature. Its face is believed to represent the pharaoh Khafre. The funerary complex of Djoser is the most important structure of the Third Dynasty. Its walled compound is constructed from stone rather than the usual mud brick. Its central element is the massive step pyramid, a six-tier, four-sided structure which is the earliest colossal stone building in Egypt. The Philae Temple of Isis is dedicated to Isis, Osiris, and Horus. It was built during the reign of Ptolemy II. It is located in Nubian City, one of the most monumental sites in Aswan. The temple walls contain scenes from Egyptian mythology, from Isis bringing Osiris back to life, giving birth to Horus, and mummifying Osiris after his death. The Nile River is a north-flowing river in northeastern Africa and is the longest river in Africa. It is around 4,130 miles long and its basin covers 11 African countries, from Uganda to Egypt. Its title as the longest river in the world has been disputed by Brazilian scientists who claim that the Amazon River is longer than the Nile.
I thought you never asked.
The Temple of Kom-Ombo is an unusual double temple in Egypt. Due to a conflict between Sobek, the crocodile god, and Horus, the sky god, ancient Egyptians were compelled to separate their temple spaces within one temple. Hence, the temple has two entrances, two courts, two colonnades, two hypostyle halls, and two sanctuaries, one side for each god. The Temple of Horus, also known as the Temple of Edfu, was built during the reign of Ptolemy III. It is dedicated to Horus, the avenging son of Isis and Osiris, and is the second largest temple in Egypt, next only to the Temple of Karnak. It is considered to be the most beautiful and well preserved of all the Egyptian temples. The Valley of the Kings is the place where rock-cut tombs were excavated for pharaohs and powerful nobles of ancient Egypt from the 16th to 11th century BC. The tomb of Ramses III depicts the events in the life of Egypt's last warrior pharaoh. It is one of the longest at 125 meters and has long passageways with wall and ceiling decorations right down to the burial chamber. On the other hand, the tomb of Ramses IV, though large, is highly simplistic and unique in many ways. Its facade is decorated with illustrations depicting the king's coronation and with pictures of Isis and Nephthys venerating the sun disk. Ceilings inside have pictures of vultures, falcons, and winged scarabs with spread wings. It is said to contain 656 individual graffitis, which have been left behind by both ancient Greek and Roman visitors. tomb of Ramses IX is a rather simplistic tomb in most respects, though the artwork is interesting. It is known for its ornate and vividly colored decorations, with scenes from the Book of Caverns, Book of the Dead, and Book of the Earth. The Book of Heavens is represented on the ceilings. The Colossi of Memnon are two massive stone statues of the pharaoh Amenhotep III, who ruled Egypt during the 18th dynasty. The Temple of Hatshepsut is a mortuary temple that was constructed by Pharaoh Queen Hatshepsut, who ruled over Egypt in the 18th dynasty. It was built next to the Temple of Mentuhotep II to reinforce her position among kings. It was decorated with scenes from her reign and housed shrines to Anubis, god of the dead, Hathor, goddess of fertility, Amun, king of gods, and Re, god of the sun. The Temple of Karnak is a city of temples built over 2,000 years and dedicated to the Theban triad of Amun, Mut, and Khonsu. It is the largest religious building ever made, covering about 200 acres. The Temple of Luxor is one of the best preserved of all the ancient monuments. It contains large amounts of structure, statues, and relief carvings that are still intact to this day, making it one of the most impressive places to visit in all of Egypt. Abu Simbel is the site of two temples built by King Ramses II, which were carved out of a sandstone cliff on the west bank of the Nile. The Great Temple of Ramses II has four 66-foot seated figures of Ramses, two on each side of the entrance to the main temple. Carved around their feet are small figures representing Ramses' children, his queen Nefertari and his mother Muttuhi. In the mid-20th century, the construction of the nearby Aswan High Dam threatened to submerge Abu Simbel. UNESCO initiated the Nubian Salvage Project in 1959. So between 1963 and 1968, an international team of engineers and scientists dug away the top of the cliff, and completely disassembled both temples, reconstructing them on high ground more than 200 feet above its previous site. In all, some 16,000 blocks were moved. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. The smaller temple is dedicated to Nefertari for the worship of the goddess Hathor and adorned with 35-foot statues of the king and queen.